Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I make fitness, nutrition, and travel content, and today I'm going to share my bulking and cutting experience with you. So should you bulk or should you cut when you're starting your fitness journey? Well, I have bulked, cut. So here's my experience and everything that I have learned. So I started my fitness journey back in 2019, so almost 5 years now, and I actually started my fitness journey with a cutting phase. I remember feeling extremely proud of myself because I was finally able to fit in a 26 size jeans. I went down from about 135 pounds to 128 pounds, so losing a total of about 7 pounds. And I was really proud of myself because this was the first time that I was tracking my food and really trying to understand my nutrition. However, there's always a flip side to things. I also felt that I didn't have enough curves. I felt like I was very petite and I didn't like sort of the proportions of my body. Felt like my hips were looking really big. So one of my goals going into my fitness journey was to recomp my body and kind of change a little bit of the proportions. So I wanted to build a bigger butt. I wanted my waist to look really small and potentially kind of build my upper body so that it balances off my hips and creates that hourglass shape. And I was convinced that to do that, I needed to bulk. It was the only way to put on muscle. So I went into a dirty bulk. So it was basically me eating anything that I wanted and calling it a bulk. I didn't track my food at that time. I just went out, ate until I was really full. I wasn't thinking about calories and I ended up putting on weight way too quickly. You can only gain about 0.5 to 1 pound of muscle per month as a woman. And I was gaining about 4 pounds doing my bulk. So that means that I was gaining about 8 times more fat than muscle. So right there was, in my opinion, my first mistake because I literally went through a cutting phase to then regain the entirety and more of the weight that I cut down. So it was basically just a waste of time. Eventually, my weight creeped up so much that I started to feel uncomfortable. None of my clothes fit anymore, my jeans especially. The only thing I was living in was sweats, and I refused to buy a new wardrobe because I felt like I was going to go back down to my initial weight. So as a beginner, I didn't feel like bulking did much for me just because it was already easy for me to put on muscle because I was going through this phase called newbie gains, and I could have just ate at about maintenance and recomped my body, so changed my body composition to have more muscle and less fat, and that would have been a lot easier for me to do instead of gaining so much weight and then struggling back to lose it. My training wasn't entirely optimized at the time, so I was definitely working out my legs 2-3 times a week, which was great, but I wasn't even working my upper body, so I was missing out on a lot of newbie gains. In my opinion, bulking is more of an advanced technique, so if you have already optimized your training, your nutrition, and you're seeing no additional results, or that you have a goal such as competing in a bodybuilding show, I think bulking is probably the quickest way to put on muscle. However, I did learn a lot during that process. I learned how hard it is to lose the weight at the end of a bulk, and if I was to do another bulk in the future, I would definitely do a more controlled one with a smaller surplus and where I track all my calories to make sure that I am not putting on excess body fat. At the end of my bulk, I was at about 147 pounds. So I had went from 128 pounds to 147 pounds. That is almost a 20-pound difference. Of course, I had to lose the weight now, and this would be so much harder than the first time I had to cut because I had to lose so much more weight. And the thing is that the longer the cut, the more risk of losing muscle during that period of time. And that was the last thing that I wanted because I had worked so hard to put any muscle on. It actually took me almost a full year to get back to my initial weight. I did multiple cutting phases. So in between I would break and get back to maintenance and then cut again and then break and then cut again. And I felt that that was the only way that I could get there, just because if not, I would have had to lower my calories way too low that it wasn't healthy. That was really one of the hardest things I've had to do. I feel like being in an extended period of cutting is really unpleasant. As much as I felt uncomfortable when I was bulking, I was also feeling really uncomfortable when I was cutting. I feel like it plays games on your mind. The more you're trying to lose weight, the more you're unsatisfied with your progress and you don't feel like your body's looking the way that you have pictured it in your head. One of the most shocking things for me was how much weight I lost off my glutes, realizing that it was mostly fat that I was seeing rather than muscle. It really took a lot of hard work, consistency, and willpower not to give up during the process, because every week I had to push a little bit further, so lower my calories a little bit further, do a little bit more cardio, because if not, your body's just getting adapted to the calories and exercise you're doing, and it's not going to change. I have documented the process in a couple of videos. If you are interested to see, I will pop them up here. In terms of my training, definitely needed to watch out for injuries, because when you are in a prolonged cutting period, your performance at the gym isn't the same. My workouts weren't as good. I wasn't seeing as much progress, and it wasn't as enjoyable for me. I definitely skipped a number of workouts just because I was feeling tired or didn't feel like going to the gym, and replaced them with cardio instead. The truth is that at the end of my cut, I looked the best that I have ever looked. I was at 130 pounds. I was lean. I could see muscle definition. I absolutely don't regret doing what I did. It taught me so much, but do I think that it was the best approach for me when I was starting? No. I would have preferred to just main gain for the 2 years, and it'd be interesting to see what I would look like if I had done that. If I do a bulk again, I'd do a more controlled bulk with a smaller surplus, but that just depends on my goals, because right now I'm really enjoying eating at maintenance and having really good workouts at the gym, trying to optimize my training and nutrition further before I even consider any of that. I am, however, planning on doing another cut early next year, just because after my previous one, I definitely rebounded and put on 5 to 6 pounds. This is something that's very common, because once your body is really depleted, it's much easier for it to store fat. Unfortunately, I was going on vacation right after my cut, so that didn't help at all. My goal would be to just lose those 6 pounds and get back to that initial 130 pounds and hopefully maintain and main gain from there. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.